Hello again and welcome back to the Book of Brett and another episode of Manic Movie Reviews. Before we get into this episode, I do want to just encourage anybody that is not subscribed to the channel already to consider subscribing. I know that I've seen some new subscribers show up and I really do appreciate every single one of you. It means the world to me that people are subscribing to this, helping the channel grow. The channel doesn't grow without you guys, and so I really do appreciate that. Today we are doing another viewer suggested video. This one was suggested by Narel, or sorry I'm butchering your name, but they suggested I go and watch The Strangers, which is exactly what I did. The Strangers is about a young couple named James and Kristen who, after Kristen rejecting James, they go and stay at a family vacation home where a trio of psychopaths starts to basically terrorize them. I will say, even though I am not a huge fan of the home invasion genre, it's just not a genre that I've really gotten into, or rather a subgenre that I've really gotten into. But this one I really liked because it did a really good job of making me feel uncomfortable from the very beginning. Even from the very beginning, with Kristen rejecting James's wedding proposal or marriage proposal, to the girl first showing up at the door, to the events that happen afterwards after the ball really gets rolling. The whole movie made me feel very uncomfortable, and I think a big part of that is because this movie is not done in a really outlandish way. It's not done in a there's not a lot of fantasy to this movie other than the fact that the whole thing's happening. But I mean, as far as the movie in the context of the real world, it's not beyond the scope of reality for this stuff to happen. In fact, it makes a good point at the very beginning that there are 1.4 million violent crimes in the US every year, and a lot of them are home invasions. And so from the very beginning, you're really uncomfortable because the whole thing is set up very realistically. And I say that in context of movies like The Purge, like home invasion movies like that, where it's very fantastical. Like the whole premise of the movie, there's a lot of fantasy to it. And so that's more of a fun ride. There were some points where I got a little frustrated with James just because he is that typical kind of like macho character, the very stupid character. Like when he comes back to the house, she's in tears, she's very upset, and he's not taking it seriously. And so I found that to be kind of frustrating. The other thing that I found to be kind of frustrating about James is the fact that he wants to fight these people. I know that he basically puts it in the context of, we don't really have a choice, I don't know what else to do. Do pretty much anything else. Like, you don't go after three people that are clearly psychotic and try to kill you when you're pretty safe inside the house, at least after he gets the shotgun. Like, he had the right idea right up until he kills his best friend. I can't remember his name. He's played by Glenn Howerton from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. But right after he ends up killing his friend, it's pretty much almost like revenge at that point is what he's going for, because you can tell he's pissed about the fact that, you know, them being there just caused him to kill his best friend. But then he goes and he leaves the house with the shotgun and he goes out into the open with these three people out there. And to me, I can't think of a dumber thing to do. Now, I will say, I've never been in this kind of situation before, so, you know, maybe he's not thinking clearly, maybe he's blinded by rage at this point, so I can kind of suspend my disbelief for a little bit with that. But it did just have me sitting there going like, dude, what are you doing? Now, on the flip side, of course, they can't get a hold of the police because her phone was destroyed in the fire and his phone doesn't have a battery in it anymore. But if nothing else, just wait for them to come to you. They're gonna come to you, wait for them to come to you, and then blow their heads off then. One of the other things I really liked about this movie is a lot of times in horror movies, they'll have this habit of basically having like well-lit dark or night scenes where there's clearly more light than there normally would be, and we're seeing a lot because they're exposing for the camera and they're trying to give the audience a little bit more to see. In this though, they really utilize that dark space, or that it's not negative space technically, but they really utilize shadow really well, and it makes for a very natural look throughout the entire movie. There's a lot of scenes where it is very dark and there's a lot of shadows, and you still have light, but everything seems realistically lit. and I really liked that about this movie. The other thing that I thought was really good was the acting. Even though the three main antagonists don't really say much of anything except for the blonde chick, that line in this movie that I'm sure everybody's familiar with, because as I said, this is not a new movie, but there's this line where Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman are tied up, or James and Kristen are tied up. Kristen asks, "Why are you doing this?" And the blonde villain goes, "Because you were home." And just the delivery on that was so cool. This is very well directed. It was very well acted. Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler do a great job. Even at the very beginning, you really feel for James's character having just been rejected, but you can also see that it's affecting Kristen as well. And I think that we get a lot of that because of the performances that we get from Scott Speedman and Liv Tyler in this movie. This is also my first horror review of the Halloween season. All my reviews for the Halloween season are going to be horror, and I think this was a really good start to all of that. But that is going to do it for me today, guys. If you like this video, go ahead and throw it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, feel free to throw a thumbs down. It won't hurt my feelings. And be sure to leave more suggestions down in the comments. I would like the majority of my videos to actually be viewer suggested, which I don't think I've talked about before. I do want more viewer suggestions, but I want more of the channel to be viewer suggestions. Like, I want it to not just be movie reviews, but I want it to be movie reviews that are happening because the audience is involved. That to me is where like my dream of the channel is really going. So anyway, as I said, hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs down. This is thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up or the thumbs down. Leave suggestions down in the comments, and I will see you guys next time.